If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. The movie It, they finally released the trailer for the clown horror film by Stephen King based off of one of his novels. A lot of people ask me if I could cover the trailer and point out Illuminati symbols. Well, there's not really much in it. There's not a ton of symbols or things like that. But what I want to talk about is the clown epidemic, which we've covered on this channel. I've talked about it, the psyop that they created, but also to get into detail about clowns and their significance to the Illuminati and the occult, specifically in Freemasonry, the Shriners, who are a branch of Freemasonry. You have to be a Freemason to be a Shriner. And the Shriners are known to always dress up as clowns and to specifically focus their attention on children, which is a very common theme. So let's talk about, before I get into the Shriners, the film itself, It. Because this is pretty much, it's mockery is what it is. Stephen King, okay, he's another one of these guys. He's a Mason. Let's not even think that he's not one of them, because they're all a part of it. His books, at best, are pretty average work. But to be, how big he is and how many films they've made based off of his novels, which are, of course, are all horror, it's all part of the fear mongering that Hollywood uses to fictionalize truth. So when people see a movie like this, It, for those of you that don't know, is about a clown that terrifies this town. He goes after the children of the town. All of these children go missing. All of these children get abducted and go missing. Now, of course, they make it to be supernatural, almost as like a demon in a sense, which there's truth behind, because clowns in general are to look as demons are supposed to look. But when they fictionalize child abduction and kidnapping and things like that, this is how and why they do it. They create the boogeyman. It's the boogeyman complex, right? It's like all the horror movies. The guy doing the killing, all these mysterious things that happen. It's always the boogeyman. It's Freddy Krueger. It's Michael Myers. It's Jason Voorhees. It's Chucky. It's It. So the movie itself focuses on the abduction of these children by this mysterious clown. So it takes a real serious issue, but they also hint at truth, because we know that the Shriners present themselves as clowns. They even have the International Shrine Clown Association. I kid you not. And what's sick about the world we live in is that people don't raise eyebrows about stuff like that. We have grown men who dress up as clowns because you know what front they use? You know what the Shriners use as a front? That their entire organization is devoted to helping children. That's why they have these Shriner hospitals set up where they help disabled young children, and they focus their children's hospitals. Now, some people say, well, that's a very great thing. And I'm not pointing a finger and making accusations. But let's be realistic here. All one has to do is look at the history of how they get away with these pedo rings. Let's start with somebody like Jerry Sandusky, right? Jerry Sandusky, everybody said could never be a pedophile. He could never be molesting children. He runs an organization based on helping young children who are abused. Let's look at the Franklin cover-up in Boys Town. How could that be going on there? It's a place where these young boys are going, to get, to be taken care of, to be raised and to be fed and to be, sheltered. Let's look at Pizzagate itself, which we've talked about many times. I've talked about it many times in this channel. It's not a coincidence that Hillary Clinton has a front of an organization that is supposed to be there to protect and enable children. Because when you have these fronts, what does it make people do? They go, oh, Hillary Clinton has organizations about trying to help child trafficking and human trafficking. She would never be one of them. Jerry Sandusky would never be one of them. Boys Town could never be involved, because literally it's right under your nose. That's how they work. So I don't think it's a huge coincidence that the Shriners have all of these hospitals set up. So they give the envision of doing what? Goodwill. They're here to help the kids, right? They can't be creeps. They can't be pedophiles. They can't believe in these teachings of Pike that talk about Lucifer being God. These are just guys having fun who are trying to help kids out. And then on the weekend, these 40 to 50-year-old men dress up as clowns. It's sick. It's disturbing. So when a movie like It comes out, and it's, it's a remake again, right? What do we say? They remake these same things. They pay homage to themselves. They show you things in plain sight. And this is just mockery is what it is. Showing the Shriners who have a connection to Freemasonry, who are all Freemasons, I should say, because all Shriners are Masons. And then you have the clown in the movie who abducts the children. This is how they work. This is how they show stuff in plain sight. And you could see some of these photos. These are Shriners from around the United States of America, around the world, dressing up. And they use it as what? It's a cover for them to say, listen, we protect kids. We care about kids. Just to have a child come up to you and hug you and embrace you, to put a smile on their face. And I know people are going to criticize me saying that, but this channel, my channel specifically, the audience that comes here is not naive. Okay? This is an audience that understands and says, listen, there aren't coincidences. These things do link together. The shrine, you can almost connect everything or anything in the mainstream to Freemasonry, to the Vatican, to the Zionists. It all connects. Even things like this. Nobody sits there and thinks so. They don't go, what is the clowns? Why are people dressing up like this? What is the point? Why is It coming back out? Why did we have that psyop that clowns were popping up everywhere? People think it was a promotion tactic for the movie It. It's because it's all in plain sight. You have to ask questions. You have to look deeper when you see stuff get pushed and go, why? What is with the clowns? What is with the clowns? Wait a minute. That connects to Freemasonry too? That connects to the Shriners? You can look at some of the things that the Shriners have had and released. Some booklets where they show all the local members of the Masonic lodges dressed up as clowns inside of a booklet with clowns on the cover, which has more clown advertising inside. These things do not happen by coincidence. Now, I know other people out there talk about clowns, that they're supposed to represent demonic or demonically possessed entities or demons, I should say. There is truth to that. There's lots of truth to it. But remember, a lot of this stuff all revolves around pedophilia. It revolves around the teachings of Crowley and black magic. Now, somebody will say, well, wait a minute, Freemasons don't talk at all about Aleister Crowley. Well, Freemasons, their doctrine openly talks about the worship of Lucifer. And the man who called himself the beast himself, or was referred to as the beast himself, Aleister Crowley, openly talked about Lucifer being the true God, and the enlightened ones were the ones who worshipped Lucifer. And he openly talked about what? Pedophilia, and how a young child was the specific target, that they can actually drain the power and the energy from these young children, and they can live longer, and they can feel younger. It's sick. It really, really is. So when a movie like It comes back, I understand that people, get excited to see the movies and, it's entertainment for them. You got to remember, they keep remaking the same stuff because it's part of the programming. You're telling me somebody couldn't come up with a different script about a killer clown? I mean, they redo it. Cinderella, Wizard of Oz, all this stuff constantly gets remade for a reason because it's part of MK Ultra. They've done the testing. It's worked. Why do you think people have a Cinderella complex in this world? Right? And young girls always talk about finding Prince Charming and wanting to be a princess because they've been conditioned through Disney, through those films, to think that they're princesses and to act like that and to search for those things. And nothing's ever enough until you find Prince Charming, who doesn't exist. That's why. So with the clowns, it's another distraction that actually shows you in plain sight. The reason that the clown, the Shriner clown and the children are going missing, they're getting abducted, this demonic clown, everyone's going into the sewers, and nobody can find these children. They're going, who could it possibly be? Because they want you to always think it's the boogeyman. So when they say, or I say, and other channels come out and other, forms of media or whatever you want to call it, come out and say, where are all these missing kids going? Where are they going? People just shrug their shoulders. They never have an answer for it because it's unusual to them, because the mainstream media doesn't talk about it. And then when you do hear about child abduction and kids going missing in movies like It, who's behind it? Now, they're telling you who's behind it. They're showing you the connection with the Shriners and the Masons, but no one's going to figure that out. They're just going to look at it and they're going to go, oh, well, come on, man. It's about a killer clown. It's about, Stephen King came up with a great idea about a clown that abducts young kids. It's just to scare little kids and frighten little kids. Remember, it's there to lead people in the direction that they want, to look for a boogeyman that technically doesn't exist, but does. Because the boogeyman does exist in a sense. It's them. They're the ones. But they make it make-believe and they fictionalize it. So, again, I want to just point that out because, people asked me today about it. I looked at the trailer. I didn't, it's a quick trailer. There's a lot of times you're not going to see, pyramids and all that stuff in the trailer. But for people out there who aren't aware of why, clowns and the fear of clowns and who, where all of this really stems from, it stems from the Shriners. Now, you'll research stuff if you want on the Shriners and you'll find these answers. But others will say, oh, well, the history of a clown comes from, so-and-so, some garbage that they made up about circuses and clowns and that sort of a thing. But there's a reason that these freaks, these Shriner freaks dress up still as clowns. And there's tons of videos you can watch. There's tons of books. You could see that they hand out books everywhere and they do their Shriners parades. All the members dress up as clowns. Nobody finds that weird. Nobody finds that odd. And then they have these children's hospitals. I mean, like I said, no one here is naive, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm saying just read between the lines because these secret societies are the ones who are behind these pedo rings. These secret societies are the ones that are networked into the CIA. It's not just a bunch of random people. Okay? It is a network. And you could see these disturbing photos of these grown men dressing up as clowns, pretending that it's all in good fun. And then, of course, right under their noses, what do they have? Well, they have tons of children's hospitals. It makes you think, doesn't it? Just like how Hillary has the front of the, human trafficking charity, which happens to be across the street from Comet Ping Pong, where nobody would look, right? Just like Sandusky, just like the Franklin cover-up, it's always right under our noses. And these are things mentally you have to think about. Because if your mind immediately would hear something like that and you'd say, no way, the Shriners, the Masons, they could be bad. Look at all the things that they've done. They have hospitals and charities for children. Yeah, so did Jerry Sandusky. How do you think they get away with it? They flip it. That's why you always have to be skeptical of things and question things. So, the movie, I wanted to talk about the Shriners and that connection. And the jesters, okay? Because these are all groups within Freemasonry where, you'll see clowns prominently dressed up. And the connections, of course, with Masonry, with the Illuminati, and these child trafficking rings are all there. So I thank you for listening to today's show. I definitely recommend you check out more information on the Shriners and their creepy clown obsession that they have. And the hospitals and those types of things, because if you start digging on stuff like this, you're always going to find whenever the Masons, the Shriners, the Jesuits, the Zionists are involved, there's a long trail of things that are going to lead all back to these same things that are supposed to be a coincidence, right? Connections to children, sick children. It's not by coincidence, so don't be naive to think that it is. We're all smarter than this. We're all better than this. We have to constantly be looking at this stuff and realize it's not there for entertainment. It's there for mockery. And they're revealing the truth all the time. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.